Okay, 1 Samuel 30. Before we go there, I'm actually going to go to Ephesians chapter 6. I'm going to be kind of over several different passages today. I want to open with this. Ephesians chapter 6. Words will be on your screen. Verses 10 through 13 says this. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. Oh, the King James translation there says wiles. I had to look that one up. I'm like, what does wiles even mean? I just think of like old cartoons, Wile E. Coyote. I had no idea what that meant. Wiles, sneaky, cunning strategy. The schemes of the devil. Verse 12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. Now, this passage goes on and lists out the armor of God. That's maybe a message or a series for a whole other time. But there's a couple things that I want to start with this morning. And the first is, from this text, who is our struggle against? Put that back up there. Verse 12, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, cosmic powers over this present darkness, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. There is a real devil. There is a real demonic kingdom. There is a real forces of spiritual darkness that are at odds, at war with us, sons and daughters of God. But I want you to see that our struggle is not against flesh and blood. However, it says that, oftentimes the battle plays out in the flesh and blood. I mean, meaning our struggles sometimes, they all seem interpersonal, right? Like it's relational struggles, or it's things at work, or things in your career, things in the home. A lot of it has to do with personal stuff, right? But the source and the scheme behind that isn't necessarily flesh and blood. This scripture tells us that there's a real enemy, and he is the one behind the scenes trying to, work things out, trying to stir things up. He is the one who is at odds with us. He is the one who is at war with us. So recognize that oftentimes our struggles play out in the flesh and blood, but really the source is in the spiritual. The source is in the spiritual realm.